It was always from the start, it was us doing it together. So when we go into the classroom and the hours spent before that with Ruth, with Danielle, with the teachers at EDPS, we planned everything together. There's pictures and video, I'm sure, of us sitting in a room in EDPS where everybody's playing with the cubes and everybody's looking at graph paper, and the teachers are learning this together and they're seeing the potential in it. And then when we go into the classroom together, because we've developed this relationship from day one, I started this project very intimidated by teaching and was uncomfortable with it. And so with the progression of these relationships, I was able to say to Mr. Fitz or whatever teacher I was working with, okay, I'm going to start this, but this is a place where I need you to jump in because I'm not as comfortable. If you want them, I'm not going to direct the students to what investigations they need to do in math or what needs to come next as far as what they need to learn from this. We do that together, and that they need to jump in where possible. So, and I jump in where the teacher needs me. So we're never far from each other in the classroom. This is something we do together, not individually. I'm not left ever in the classroom. I'm not ever feeling unsupported. One of the things that I never expected to come out of this project is the fact that now I get to go around the province and talk to teachers in conferences, and I actually get to go to different schools and help their artists learn how to do this too, or guide them a little bit and talk about my experience, because again, I'm not a teacher and the learning curve was hard and the first 2 years were extremely difficult. So it's good for community members who want to come into the classroom to learn that, and that it's not easy, but there's a whole team of people there ready to help you, and that's really, really important about that. Something else that's really important that made this journey easy for me is that when I was asked to go to EDPS, that school is a lot of memories, not great memories. Being the only first First Nations student to attend that school, and I developed close relationships with a few of the teachers and leadership in the school who were able to make that a really easy transition for me, not only because I was honest with them, but because they had the wisdom to know that education, just because residential schools don't exist anymore, that doesn't mean that First Nations people are breezing through education at this stage in their life either, or this time period. Education can be very difficult. So we need to always keep in mind that if you're asking an artist or a community member or a parent to come to your school, that maybe that's not a safe space for them. And what can you do to help provide a safe space? And that includes being very honest with them and asking them that question, which could be difficult and hard, but we need to do it anyways. I've worked with a lot of teachers in this project, and I've worked with some amazing teachers, and I'm so lucky to have worked with them. So I guess the simplest way to say that about how that has gone for me is either they get it or they don't. And there's nothing that I can say that'll tell you what it is. But there's some teachers who have the gift to make you feel incredibly comfortable. And there's some who aren't as engaged. And the thing about this project is that it's not something that you get to pull from a textbook and just teach it. It's something that you have to want in your classroom. And there is a tremendous difference between the teachers who have wanted to do this and the teachers who have been told to do this. And the difference is seen in the work. It's seen in how the classroom is managed. It's seen in every level of the project. And that it didn't succeed, but it might not have the same heart that it would have from a teacher that wants to be there. One of the biggest questions we get around this when we go to workshops and we do work with teachers is, where's the pattern? How can I do this? Can I do this right now? Where do I buy looms? There's several points that I like to make in there. One of them is a question that comes up quite often, is about cultural appropriation, and nobody really likes to say that word. The other day I was reading CBC and I found this wonderful quote that I'm going to read for you. And it's from Solon Roth, an anthropologist who specializes in cultural appropriation. And he kind of summed this up better than anything I've ever read. So, when one culture, often the dominant one, takes something that does not belong to it from another culture and reuses it without consent and without benefiting the culture that it comes from, it becomes appropriation. And that becomes a relationship that is unequal, and that's not what we're trying to do here. For me, this project is about our kids. That what we're doing and what I'm doing in the community and in our schools and around the province is creating a greater level of acceptance for First Nations culture, and that it is creating a safer space for kids to be in, that schools are safer for First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children, that teachers gain a better understanding of what being that only First Nations person in a classroom or in a school can look like, and how we can better help that kid. It's so important to me that everything we do here right now is reflected in the future, and that even though it's math and math isn't always fun, but that we give them the confidence that even when it's not fun, that they can still do it. We make it fun. It's not always that way. So for me, seeing the change in a lot of the students over the past 4 years, and seeing how it has changed them as people and as students, it's amazing to watch. I see so much bravery and respect and so many truths coming out of this project that I think it can be done anywhere, anytime, with the right people. So again, this is also, I guess, a trip down Reconciliation Road. And we need to try. And that's always the message that I give to teachers, to students, to leaders, that regardless of what comes after, we need to try, and that we need to keep trying, because that's all anybody can do.